Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking the Silence podcast. My name is Sean McBride. I'm very humbled and happy to be here today with Julie Hinton-Green. Julie is our resident Reiki Master here at Addiction Rehab Toronto. She is a spiritual guide. She is a life coach. She is just an overall marvelous human being and a spiritual being. And I'm very excited to interview someone who we really appreciate here. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Julie.
My pleasure, Sean. Thanks for having me. It feels like it's been a while in the making to get this podcast going, so I'm happy that it's here and now.
Absolutely. Here and now. What matters more, right? The ever generous present moment. And that's something we definitely get into. Now, Julie, I understand you want to start off by doing something that can be a benefit to everybody, a little bit of breathing, a little bit of grounding. You want to go ahead and just run us
Mhm.
through that?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Sean. So I think for everybody listening or watching, if we just take a moment to quiet the mind and bring us into this present moment, like Sean said, this is our only reality, right? When we're living in the past, when we're living in the future, we tend to have anxieties and fears and worries. But when we're in that present moment and you're engaging with either yourself or others, there's a sense of simplicity, of ease, and that's kind of what we're hoping to bring you guys into while Sean and I have a little dialogue. So, for everybody, if you're sitting in a chair, I want you to take your hands and just kind of grab the fascia out from underneath the thighs, maybe even leaning forward, wiggling out the glutes for a second. You're going to find yourself sitting up really tall, drawing that belly up and in. I want you to exaggerate as you roll the shoulders back and down. Think of the elbows pulling into the side of the body. And for today, let's get a mudra where you press your index finger and your thumb together, tilting the chin up, allowing for this beautiful flow of energy. And as you hold this posture together, let's take a big inhale through the nose, filling the lungs, filling the chest, and then open up the mouth and exhale all the stale air. Ah. And again, big breath in, biggest breath you've taken all day. Expand, expand, expand. Mouth open. Press out any heavy energy. Let it go. One more big breath in, drawing in this healthy, loving air. And then exhaling any resentment, any anger. And I want you now to take those hands and start rubbing them together as hard as you can. Create friction, create warmth, create unity, create your inner strength. And then you're going to wrap your hands around your opposite biceps, giving yourself a hug. Close the eyes here. And then let yourself kind of roll forward a little bit, coming into that safe position. Maybe the spine rolls forward, maybe the belly starts to relax, the chin can drop. When you bring yourself into this hug, your central nervous system doesn't know if somebody's hugging you or if you're hugging yourself. So if you are feeling any of those heavier emotions, you can always do this to yourself during the day. And let's take one nice inhale here together. And a slow exhale. And then whenever you're ready, you'll open up your eyes, bringing your hands down to wherever you want. Okay, good. Sean,
Awesome as always. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much. It was funny. You might have noticed I laughed halfway through, but I drew in so hard through my nose, I actually had to hold in a sneeze. So very freeing. No,
Good.
that's something I've always appreciated about you and about your practice and what you bring to it is that you make something that, we always use the term as a joke, hooey, but you make it very accessible, you make it very simplistic, and you make it very digestible for people. And I think that speaks leagues because anybody can, claim to be an energy practitioner or a healer, but to have it actually be put into practice and see it, I mean, that's a rare thing. Let me ask you something though. Besides, mom, wife, Reiki healer, spiritual guide, who is Julie at the heart of Julie?
No, good question. First, I got to say, Sean, I never call myself a healer because you open yourself up to a handful of skeptics that just aren't believers. So, what I like to say is that our own body is meant to come into balance. Our own body, it wants to heal itself. So, when you receive Reiki energy or you work with somebody bringing in energy, even teaching you the techniques of breath, right? If we learn how to take proper breaths, we can cleanse our lungs, we can cleanse our organs, we can feed ourselves new, nourishing energy. So, all of that aside, thank you for calling me a healer. And I know you and I have worked together before, and you felt the Reiki energy bringing your body into balance, which is great. So, not only are you my interviewer, but you are my, what's the word? Not student, not
Pupil.
client, friend. But who is Julie Hinton-Green? I think I'm a 40, not I think, I mean, come on. I
I
know, guys. I
think
know.
I think I'm 43 sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel 20, but I don't know.
Age is just a number. I am a 46-year-old woman who is still searching and motivated to reach for the stars. As a little girl, I always had that dream of being rich and famous. And then when I became older and a little more refined and got into energy work, how can you walk around and say, I want to be rich and famous? But the truth is, I want to be able to share light energy and healing with others, allowing them to feel rich in all aspects of their life, right? Of course, in this tangible world, we need money. We want to be able to go on vacations. We want to be able to buy our kids all of those things that are on their wish list. So demanding than when we were growing up. I know every, I know
Absolutely.
every, right? Every parent feels that. Our kids' wish list compared to what we wanted is so different.
Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's wild.
Apple watches, you know how it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Oh, Switch twos and oh, you name it. Even Labubu's. Sorry, off track. Go ahead.
No, it's true though. Like, who would think a doll with a big smile is going to set you back $50?
Right?
But yeah, I want to be able to share the healing and the light. And my main goal is to help people come out of their human mind, right? We have lived in our mind for the X amount of years that we're alive. Our mind is trained to delete, generalize, and distort information that it receives because we receive so many bits of information at once that we couldn't possibly handle all of them. So our mind is trained to do those three things, which means your reality keeps being what you're used to, what you grew up feeling through your parents, through your teachers, through your community, through your religion or spirituality, that you get kind of locked in that box. And I mean, this is about addiction. So, for a lot of us, we had parents that grew up as addicts. My dad also was an alcoholic. He was bipolar. He was manic depressive. He had a whole slew of things going on. And as a child, when you see that, it's just the norm, right? You don't even, you're at that young age when you're growing up that you don't even really go to other people's house when you're so young. You just see how your family organizes itself. Of course, once we get older and we step out of that familiarity, you look around and realize maybe that wasn't so normal. So when we do energy work, the main goal is to number one, relax that central nervous system. Let all the stress, all the fears, all the worries, all the anger and sadness and resentment just go. Channel in beautiful, healthy, loving energy that's not coming through your human mind that already thinks it knows everything. It's bringing in new channels, whether it's through your third eye, our awareness, through our throat chakra, new communication, for a lot of people through the heart, bringing you that knowledge that maybe forgiveness and healing will help you have a better life. It might help you make more money. It might help you reach to those tangible goals that you're blocking yourself from. And then a lot of people receive information through their gut instinct. And that's another beautiful thing about Reiki and energy is the more you clear away all this noise, all this distraction, all this heaviness, you can bring yourself to a place where you actually trust and listen to your gut instinct. And what can be more empowering than the information and the feelings that are coming through you're trusting and you're acting on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See, and that's exactly what I love about it, right? Is that for so long, people thought it was this out there idea that was only for hippies or people, doing psychedelics. But now there's so much more research being done on the effects on the physiology, on effects of the brain, how it affects your mood. And, people also don't realize like it's a 5,600-year-old practice. It's as old as yoga, as old as lucid dreaming. Like I think, the work that you do, not just helping people, one on one, but also just in general, removing the stigma around spiritual practices as actual modalities for healing. I think it's absolutely crucial. Um, Now, I know, but people out there might not. You've been with art for 10 years. Do you find that in your sessions, like, is there any particular moment or client that sticks out where you felt particularly good about the work you do here, or is it all gravy?
You know what? It's a great question. Having 10 years under my belt at art has helped me grow. So as much as I feel honored. Look, I'm gonna grab my dog for a
Yeah,
second.
no worries. We'll edit it. Don't even worry.
Here, Peachy. Peachy. Say hi to Sean for a second,
Oh,
okay?
hello,
This is Peachy, and she sees a
Peachy.
squirrel, and I'm gonna try to keep her beside me so she doesn't.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah, we can have Peachy make camera. She deserves to make camera.
Absolutely.
She's my therapy dog. As much as
Nice.
we take care of dogs, they're legit my therapy, right? When I come home, my kids aren't necessarily dropping everything to come and give me a big hug, whereas my two dogs run to me and fight over me. I'm like, oh, I feel
Absolutely.
so loved.
So
Thank you.
loved, so
So
appreciated.
appreciated. But just getting back to your question, it's an absolute honor to have been at and with art for 10 years. The practitioner, the therapist, Reiki energy that I started 10 years ago compared to now is a world of a difference, like all of us. The more we practice, the more we receive, the more we embody, the more we feel. And I think the number one takeaway about art is the clients that think that they don't need it or they don't want it, I swear, Sean, are the ones who have the biggest breakthroughs. And
That's,
the other thing, and I know you and I have touched on this before, but that masculine energy sometimes believes that they can't be vulnerable or open. It makes them look weak or insecure. But the truth is we're all human beings. We all have a central nervous system. We all have organs. We all have flesh over us. And if we can allow men to feel more comfortable with expressing themselves and actually having feelings, letting them cry, letting them share, letting them be vulnerable, it's really going to help them in the healing process.
for
So,
sure.
what I've noticed in the Reiki sessions is when they're lying down in meditation and we start channeling the energy, they tend to get choked up and they're so embarrassed. And it's probably because we're in a collective group of people. And maybe if it was just a one on one client in my office, they wouldn't feel as intense and
Yeah, self-conscious and
exactly about being judged. But that's the beautiful thing about Reiki is it brings up these things that we've locked in. It
for sure.
really does help you open up, even to see that this stuff that happened to us in childhood that we just think it just happened to us and we've let it go. Really, a lot of our decision making and the way we interact with people is based on that.
Yeah.
And I see that with myself. Like when I look back on my mom and dad's relationship, I never loved their relationship, or did I echo to have a relationship like them? And then in my own marriage, in the beginning, I mean, we've been together for 15 years now, so you grow. But in the beginning, I kind of saw myself a little bit acting like my dad. And
Mm.
it was because he was like colder and less affectionate. And I kind of took that on where I had a mom that cried all the time. And in my young mind, I also saw that as weakness. So, that instilled energies and thought process that I had as a kid, I really needed to unjig it and be who I am today. But see, the thing is, Sean, not a lot of people want to take the time to reevaluate themselves, to reorganize themselves, to realign themselves, to admit that they have a problem. And I think that hopefully the people watching this are coming to us through art or through other channels where they've already admitted that addiction is a problem, and it's not that they need to be fixed per se, they just need to find change and clearing to be that better version of themselves.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Julie. And you're right. Like I can speak firsthand. It's so easy to just walk around with that flamethrower and just say, it's everybody else's the problem. I'm good.
Mhm.
Or if you would just be a little bit nicer to me, then I'd be okay. It's very tough sometimes to turn that prism around and be like, well, wait a minute, maybe this is something I should tweak about myself, or something that, or even just putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And especially when you're talking about addiction, where addicts are very good at nominalizing and being like, no, 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 it's fine, it's just a 26 or a scotch a day, or I only smoke a little crack. Like they're very good at desensitizing themselves. And to speak to what you said about relationships and our preconceived notions, when we're growing up, you're right, that bubble of our family, that is our training. I imagine a long time ago it was an entire village. So, we had kind of a broader range of how to judge who our character is going to become. But nowadays, you're right, like your brothers, your sisters, your mom, your dad, that's the core of what you're around. So whatever they are, that's where your starting point is. All their philosophies, all their ideas, that's what's they're going to pre-implant in you. And of course, you get into nature nurture, but I do believe that there's an extent where you're just born hardwired to be parts of your parents. But I also believe that it's like nurturing a seed, whether correctly or incorrectly. If that's already in there and it's being fed the same food, it's eventually going to turn into one or the other. So no, it's a really deep insight. I
And just,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to echo what you were saying because when I think back to my dad, he was the type of guy who worked hard. He never like didn't go to work in the morning, but he would come home from work and he would probably just drink beer steady till he went to bed, right? While he watched the Blue Jay game, while he watched the Leaf game. We were big into sports. And to me, drinking beer and sports just went hand in hand. It
Yeah,
was just like that's what happens.
that's what you
And
do. Yeah.
that's what you do. And only when you get older do you realize, oh, wait, I'm at someone's house and they're not, parent isn't drinking. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily normal. It is also really interesting about addiction and being an alcoholic. So yesterday I wanted to do a little bit of research and I typed into ChatGPT. I know Sean and I both love our ChatGPT. And I asked, what's the definition of an alcoholic? And they said somebody who has 14 drinks a week. That's basically
Really,
two
that's the
drinks.
definition.
Yeah, that's the definition. That's basically 2 drinks a day. How many people do we know that socially finish work and go have for sure 2 drinks a day?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
right. And I think for many years we were also lied to by alcohol companies where they said, have a glass of red wine a day. It makes
Good
your
for your
blood
heart.
flow better.
Yeah,
It's good for
yeah.
your heart. And now we're seeing studies that say absolutely not. Like, do not drink alcohol.
Do
Do
not
not bring it in.
consume. Yeah.
So, us as consumers, us as human beings, have been told things that I guess are myths, or at the time it just worked for them.
What I find wild too, and I never really noticed it until a good friend of mine started going through the Alcoholics Anonymous process. She relapsed several times, but I never really noticed how much it's in media. If you watch almost every single sitcom, constantly drinking. All these teeny bopper shows where it's supposed to appeal to kids that are, 16 to 20, tons of alcohol use. And I'm not talking like going to a frat party. I mean, they're sitting there having a conversation where you probably wouldn't be drinking normally. And they're just, pounding back scotch or bottles of beer. And so I don't think enough people realize, like you said, it's that normalization, that desensitization. And the media definitely preys upon that, right? And then it's interesting to me too that that's acceptable, but then, people like you and I who indulge in spiritual practice, always on shows, you always see them as the weirdo,
Yeah.
or, the one who's going to screw everything up somehow, or, there's some pothead hippie living in the back of a van. And it's like, it skews it. So essentially, according to mainstream media, we're supposed to be alcoholics, but to learn how to listen to your higher self, no, no, you don't want to be that weird person, right? So, I always find that interesting. It's really like we've talked about, aside many times, is just the human mind and what it can be okay with and what it can learn to accept. And the adaptability is great when you want to make positive changes, but the other side is also, like you said, like you can grow up in a bad home and not even think it's a bad home. You know, perfect
Mhm.
perfect example for me. I mean, I grew up, my parents weren't in poverty, but we weren't well off. And I never knew the difference. You know, I knew I was living in a bad area. I think I was 16 or 17. And I didn't realize there was certain levels because it wasn't until I went to a friend of mine's house and I told him I needed to use the bathroom. And he goes, my dad's in the one downstairs, he's the one upstairs. And I remember I was like, two bathrooms. It's like,
Right.
what? Right? So it's whatever you're kind of brought into and whatever seems normal, that becomes your new normal, right? And it does take a lot. Like that's one thing I love about, Reiki and Qigong and meditation and yoga is that it's a very much more simplistic way that people realize to get the heart, mind, and body to kind of see each other's point of view, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And the most beautiful thing about the modalities that you brought up is people can do these on their own, right? These are things you can go onto YouTube and you can type in yoga for depression, yoga for anxiety. You can do Qigong to open up the heart, to clear the mind. These are things that you don't have to pay for, right? You don't have to always be paying. You can learn the breath work. You can learn all of these tools. And I really take pride that when my clients come in, mostly to my one-on-one sessions, because in the group session, it's a little bit harder to cater to each client, but to teach them these tangible takeaways that anytime, you're about to walk into the office and you're feeling rattled, whether it's to give yourself that energy hug, even to bring your hand on your forehead, do it now for fun, Sean. Just bring your right hand on your forehead and then slip your left hand behind your neck, cradling your neck, close your eyes again. And then start to pull the elbows out to the side, really opening up through the lungs. And let the jaw completely relax. Let the tongue fall down to the back of the throat. And we're going to take 3 really calm, organized breaths together. Inhale through the nose. Slow exhale through the mouth. Again, nice calm inhale and an even slower exhale this time. Once more, nice easy inhale, fill up the lungs, feel the hands pressing into these 2 body parts, and then exhale. And before you bring the hands down, just acknowledging that the arm behind the neck is cradling you and supporting you, and the hand on the forehead is giving you that acknowledgement that you want to tap into something greater. And then you can lightly open up the eyes and bring the arms down. And again, another opportunity to just bring us into center. So what they say about that is when you're a baby and you're born, you need your parent to support that back of your neck so your little head doesn't snap. And that supportive feeling is locked into our central nervous system. So even when we do it on ourselves, again, the central nervous system doesn't know that you are doing it. It just feels the relaxing energy. Yeah.
I find it's part self-soothing and part psychological, part physiological. I mean, it really is, and I hope people seeing this and hearing you talk about it, not just so passionately, but with your obvious expertise, that maybe they'll open up to it a little more and actually explore it. If not Reiki, then, find what works for you. Like you said, there's so many things online nowadays. We're so blessed to have everything accessible. Even if you're infirm, you can find chair yoga, you can find, desk yoga. I've seen them, like, yeah. And I think that, people don't realize that things like just getting used to, moving around at least once a day or going for a walk, even in the cold weather, like it's not terrifying. You're not, going to freeze to death just because you went for a nice nature hike. Like just get comfortable with your own skin, and yeah.
Yeah, as human beings, as moms, as dads, as sisters, as brothers, if we actually take time out of our busy day to not just do that checklist, right? We wake up in the morning, we have that checklist. We need to do work, we need to bring the kids to School, we need to do after school programs. We need to take care of the elderly parents. We have to go grocery shopping. The list can go on and on. Just saying that list feels overwhelming. But can we carve an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes out of your day where you feel joy, where you enjoy your life, where you bring in healthy energy, whether it's from those walks outside in nature, it's channeling in Reiki, it's doing meditation, it's doing yoga. There's so many things. And I promise you, when you actually start doing these, you will crave them. You will want to do them.
Yeah.
And as lucky as I am, my career means that I get to go to my office. I get to close my eyes, channel energy to other people, help them calm down, help them relax, help them find the light. And when I open up my eyes, I have also received more light. And I think like the last thing that I want to say, because I know that we're probably going over our time, is that,
No, no, it's okay. Go ahead.
okay, in this world, we know that there's all about the polarities and the differences. And there's a real strong vortex on earth right now where there is a lot of darkness, there is a lot of heavy energy, whether it's coming through you through social media or other types. It's really bringing you down. And then there's this beautiful opening where there is more people that are spiritual, there is more people that are looking for meaning and positive energy. And if we can, as the light workers, as the energy providers, or even just as a happy human being, okay? You don't even need to have any of those titles. If you are a happy human being and you interact with people and you look in their eyes and you smile and you're nice, you're raising the vibration and the frequency of all of Earth. So I'd love it if there was more people out there that want to take a little bit of time to raise up that vitality, that vibration, so that we can collectively move ourselves up here instead of getting caught in that downward spiral that pulls you down.
It's awesome. Very well said. Julie, always a pleasure. We're very happy to have you on board with art, of course, but also to have you on the podcast. Julie Hinton-Green, as I said earlier, Reiki Master, all around spiritual hero for those who might not understand spirituality. Thank you again for me having you on the show.
Namaste, my pleasure.
Have a great day, Julie.
You too, Sean.
Take care.